Good morning, respected panels. We're pleased to present to you our thesis proposal from chapters 1 to 3 entitled Social Media and COVID-19 Cases Mitigation in Barangay Salawag, Dasmariñas City, Cavite during Community Quarantine 2020 to 2021. Introduction. Communication is one of the pillars of a good public governance, especially in times of crisis. According to the Clemente and Jackson 2016, risk communication involves the effective and accurate exchange of information about health risks and hazards, often during an emergency, that advances risk awareness and understanding and promotes health protective behaviors among individuals, communities, and institutions. Sound and thoughtful risk communication can assist public officials in preventing ineffective, fear-driven, and potentially damaging public responses to serious crises such as unusual disease outbreaks and bioterrorism. While on the other hand, social media is one of the most used medium for information dissemination. According to Statista Research Development Consensus on 2020, alone in the Philippines, it peaks at around 78.5 million users and growing as time goes by. This was also reinforced due to pandemic situation in today's generation. On January 2020, the first case of COVID-19 was investigated by a 39-year-old female Chinese national comes here for a vacation. Unfortunately, the number of cases became huge over years.
Statement of the problem specifically sought to answer the following questions. Number 1. Why the most utilized social media platform by Barangay Salawag, Dasmariñas City, Cavite during community quarantine? Number 2. Why the mitigation status of COVID-19 from June 2020 to June 2021 in Barangay Salawag, Dasmariñas City, Cavite? Number 3. Why the significant relationship between utilizing social media for mitigation of COVID-19 cases in Barangay Salawag, Dasmariñas City, Cavite, during community quarantine among selected barangays in the city of Dasmariñas?
Significance of the study. The result of the study will be beneficial to the following: barangay officials. This research will be used to see if their approach of utilizing social media platforms is effective. Community. Residents of Barangay Salawag can benefit from the use of social media to share information that will aid them in the event of an outbreak and where to go in an emergency. Political Science Department. This research relates to the field of public governance and will aid them in developing preliminary thoughts on how to use social media as a modern platform for communication in times of crisis. Future researchers. Future researchers can use the study as a guide, a tool, and a reference while performing research that is relevant to the study.
Theoretical framework. The researchers also want to determine the factors affecting the social media as part of the crisis communication and how it affects the mitigation response implemented by the government officials, specifically the barangay officials, and if there are significant relationship of using this as crisis communication in regards of the COVID-19 cases number recorded in the city.
While in conceptual framework, the first box shows the input part where the researchers will be having data gathering procedures and informations from their participants. The process part would be the application of the statistical method for the interpretation and analysis of the data gathered from the respondents. And the output is the assessment of the relationship between the use of social media in mitigating the number of cases of COVID-19.
Scope and limitations. Bound only to the assessment of the use of social media as part of the risk or crisis communication used in the Barangay Salawag, Dasmariñas City, Cavite in mitigating the cases of COVID-19 virus during community quarantine. Barangay officials of Salawag because they are aware of COVID's statistics of their locale and one who directly involved in social media usage for COVID mitigation, residents of Barangay Salawag as part of the data collection and source.
Definition of terms. Social media. For communication, updates, services, and the current platform application makes use of the web and internet. COVID-19 is a type of respiratory disease that spread over the country and the cause of multiple lockdowns of the city. Barangay officials. The person in power rules and defend the public residents of at the barangay level. Community quarantine, a series of stay-at-home orders issued by the public officials or those in position of power in order to prevent an infectious disease from spreading throughout the population. Local government unit, the institutional organization whose budgetary, legislative, and executive authority extends across the smallest geographical areas.
Methodology. Research design. On the other hand, qualitative research is the method used to answer questions about experience, meaning, and perspective and rather use the whys and not whats. It focuses on the study of the human phenomena by empirical instead of logical and statistical procedures. With this, the study determined the use of the social media as part of the crisis communication to mitigate the COVID-19 cases implemented by the selected barangay officials in the city of Dasmariñas.
The participants of this study are the barangay officials that consists of 20 people including the Sangguniang Barangay and 20 household heads.
Sources of data in this study are from the compiled answers in the interviews and surveys of the participants, respectively the selected barangay official and residents of the Barangay Salawag, Dasmariñas City, Cavite. While on the sampling technique, the researchers use the purposive sampling. It is a non-probability sampling which researchers rely on their own criteria when choosing members of the population to participate in their study.
Data to be gathered. The researchers have to be aware of all the possible difficulties that there may be throughout the data collection process. Finally, the instruments to collect data must shoot to the research goal. However, it is not always going to fit to the letter, and when that happens, it can be used ready-made instrument even thought it does not match the research needs.
While in research instruments, researchers use interview guide questions for selected barangay officials, while survey questionnaires for the selected residents of Barangay Salawag, Dasmariñas City, Cavite, relating to social media and COVID-19 cases mitigating guide.
Analysis of data. We, the researchers, seek to correlate the use of social media in COVID-19 cases mitigation in the barangay, enforced by the barangay officials. Hence, we use correlational analysis. These are the reference of our research study. Now we are ready and open for questions. Thank you.